And welcome back to the Hotline. We're asking, have Red Bull been caught cheating? I have given a question mark there because it's not out and out cheating according to some, but massive question mark over the beginning of the year with Red Bull being really, really fast, thinking we're going to have another 2023 and the second half of kind of like the first half of the season, let's say, where Red Bull were not so fast. I mean, you can almost divide it into 7 races and 7 races, kind of, but Max Verstappen and Red Bull, let's be fair, it is a fact that they have not been as dominant as they were at the beginning of the season. You can even just look at their pole positions being one example. And as you can see here, Bahrain Max, Saudi Max, Australia Max, Japanese Grand Prix Max, Chinese Grand Prix Max on pole, Miami Max again, although he didn't win it. And he didn't win Australia, but that was a car issue. Emilia Romagna, as in Imola, Max Verstappen. Now, let's get into the others. Monaco, Charles Leclerc. Canadian Grand Prix, George Russell. Spain, Lando Norris. Austria, once again Max. British Grand Prix, George Russell. Hungary, Lando Norris. Belgian Grand Prix, Charles Leclerc. What does that mean? People scratching their head? Maybe. Now, an article on Racing News 365, which is linked in the description, a really interesting article by Paolo Filicetti. I have probably got that wrong, but he delves into what was initially a minor rules tidy up and how it may have affected the RB20 machine. And he even talks about the comparison between the performances of Red Bull this year and Red Bull last year, as in the RB20 versus the RB19, and it highlights how this year's car has not been as dominant. He's saying it's 32 points down on time this year, indicating the average competitiveness level over the first 14 races held so far, with the car also being increasingly track dependent, particularly from the Miami Grand Prix. So the RB20 showing increasing accentuated track sensitivity is surprising, with Max Verstappen able to claim 4 wins in the opening 5 races in what was a variety of tracks and conditions. Saudi Arabia, very different from Bahrain, very different from Australia, which, yeah, he got pole but didn't win. Very different from Japan and China. Yeah, let's just say different. But the sole exception was the Australian Grand Prix, where he retired due to what was an anomalous failure in the right rear brake, which, sadly for him, started a fire. But that very problem could be now considered a clue to Red Bull's current struggles. Now, the article carries on saying at the end of July, a lot of people that had their eye on the ball, some of you missed it, I may have been one of them, yeah, guilty as charged, but the FIA rewrote an article that's 11.2.1 of the technical regulations after what was a unanimous vote by the teams, which previously read, any system or mechanism that can systematically or intentionally produce asystematic braking torques on a given axis is prohibited. What does asystematic braking mean? That may well be the big question for some of you. Asystematic braking or uneven braking. It essentially means one side of the brake system is doing a better job of slowing the car down on the other side. That's like a really simple view of it, potentially giving you an advantage. But the article goes on to say it is intriguing that the article was rewritten and the issue was not simply addressed by a technical directive. The mechanism normally used when a technical question is clarified, as we've seen before. Most famously, if you are a McLaren fan, those brakes in '98 at the Brazilian Grand Prix gone, where they could control they control their brakes left and right. But it's possible, the article says, then to infer the modification of the article itself when there is when there's a fear in the loophole, that there was this loophole that was exploited, particularly by Red Bull, very cleverly by Adrian Newey. He always said there's nothing. He's always said in his book, and he's come out in interviews in terms of when talking about the spirit of the regulations, and I think quite rightly said, yeah, it doesn't mean anything. But in practice, the latest version of Article 11.2.1 suggests that a team had already thought about asystematic braking at the start of the year, contravening the spirit of the rules. There you go. But not breaking it. Yes, there's no such thing in the spirit of the rules. But the latest version says the braking system must be designed so that within each braking circuit, the force applied to the brake pads are of the same magnitude and act as opposite pairs on a specific brake disc. Any system or mechanism that can asystematically or intentionally produce asystematic braking torques on a given axis is prohibited. And it appears that the RB20, up until the Chinese Grand Prix, mounted and what they classing as an internal valve, very clever, on the braking system sector at the rear downstream, and that's by the brake-by-wire system, or getting very technical. In short, it helped them in the corners. It made them fast. It made them more stable, which is not something you can say now, because when you look at Hungary and Belgium, especially in Free Practice 1, that car is not particularly stable at all. And the article goes on to say that the RB20 has progressively lost form from Miami onwards, something that subsequent upgrades have managed to remedy. And it's not a case necessarily of the teams getting a lot closer. Yes, they have, but have they got that much closer? People are suggesting possibly not. But in short, the relative competitiveness of the RB20 is not in question of, in terms of aerodynamic problems or extreme setups, but rather of a progressive increase in the critical nature of vehicle dynamics. I now sound like a complete nerd, but I thought that was really interesting. And let's address the for kind of like proof here. As you can see here, this is the Bahrain Grand Prix results, where Verstappen led Red Bull the nearest Red Bull car, 22 seconds. That was Perez, 1-2. The nearest non-Red Bull car by 25 seconds. So let's go to the second race of the year, which was Saudi Arabia. Verstappen again, but 13 seconds. The nearest non-Red Bull car, 18 seconds from Charles Leclerc. Let's then go to the Japanese Grand Prix. There, Australia was a no-go. And Verstappen wins by 20 seconds again from Carlos Sainz, the nearest non-Red Bull car. Perez in second. And bear in mind, Perez, at the beginning of the year, scoring all of his podiums. This was, now let me see, this is the Shanghai Grand Prix, China, I should have remembered. Once again, 13.7 seconds by Norris. So it was a lot closer. McLaren did look quite good there. Let's have a look at Miami then, shall we? And this is where it all starts to go wrong. Norris beats Verstappen by 7.6 seconds. Not bad at all. This is, now let's have a look at the this is going to be, I can't scroll down. This is going to be the Formula 1 in Imola, where Max Verstappen, it was close by 0.7 seconds, once again after Miami. This now, we're looking at the Canadian Grand Prix, and he wins by just 3.8 seconds. Do you get the picture? Next up, we have the Grand Prix of Spain, wins by 2.2 seconds, and that was one where Lando Norris really fluffed the start, potentially could have won. Now let's talk about the British Grand Prix, where Hamilton won by Max Verstappen by 1.4 seconds. I mean, the Red Bull, until the end of that, did not look good at all. The last race we'll look at is Hungary, because Max got a 10-place grid penalty at Belgium, where Piastri won. Verstappen was 21.349 seconds behind. Probably could have finished third. He had that little tumble with Max Verstappen, didn't he? So what do you think? Are Red Bull cheating? Or are they not? Big question marks. I don't think they were. They were doing something that was not in the spirit of the regulations, which was then later changed, because I feel that the other teams would be kicking up a massive stink if Red Bull were cheating, because were they doing this in 22? Were they doing this in 23 as well as the cost cap, Abu Dhabi 21? Oh my gosh. But no, I think they were just chancing their luck on something that was a loophole that's now been closed. They may well have had it in 22 and 23, and it may well have been a clever thing, which is why they were so good. But now, a very even, on a very even keel. And in one way, I can't wait for the rest of the season, because it is very close. If you like what you saw, give us a subscribe. Comment below. Let us know what you think. Do you think Red Bull were cheating? I particularly don't. Looking at all that. So that's still a massive question mark for me, but I've answered probably not. But what do you guys think? Give us a like as well. Hit that notification button. Excuse me. Try not to burp. Hit that notification button if you want to see more videos on Formula 1 news. We follow rally, touring cars well with the odd bit of gaming. And no doubt, we will speak to you soon. So thank you very much.